Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Clunker Bumblebee. As always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging and then we'll take a closer look at Bumblebee himself. Bringing the packaging in for a closer look, as you can see, we have a fantastic CG render of the battle-damaged Clunker Bumblebee Transformers Studio Series. The side of the packaging has an enlarged image of Clunker Bumblebee, with the back of the packaging showcasing the figure in the robot mode, the vehicle mode, the other figures in the assortment, as well as a brief bio. Bumblebee shatters the competition to become Sam Witwicky's first car, which was what we saw when we were first introduced to Bumblebee in the first live-action movie. The other side of the packaging has a closer-up image of Clunker Bumblebee's head sculpt, Studio Series, figure number 27, and that he is a deluxe class. Taking a look at the backdrop that Bumblebee comes with, it is that car garage that we do see in the first live-action Transformers movie. It is definitely nice to get a new backdrop with this figure, considering that it is essentially a re-release and a repaint. So Hasbro and Takara going the extra effort to give us this backdrop, which is from a very iconic scene in the movie, is great. Of course, you can put Bumblebee in the display, although he's never in his robot mode in this particular scene. And here we have Clunker Bumblebee out of packaging. Now this review is going to be more of a comparison review, as I have already previously taken a look at this mold. As you can see, this version is the Clunker Bumblebee and this is the original version. Taking a look at the details, for the most part they look exactly the same. However, upon a closer inspection you can begin to notice some of the differences. The only real battle damage that is predominant in Clunker Bumblebee's robot mode is the damage on the door wings. As you can see, this one, you've got quite a fair amount of scuffs and scratches, whereas on the original version it is very clean. Obviously this version is more accurate, as we only ever see the 1977 Camaro when it is run down and has that awesome custom faded paint job. So this is definitely more accurate than this version. First difference is on the older version we have the signature black stripes on the hood of Bumblebee's chest, whereas on the new Clunker version they are missing. We also have some of that battle damage on the new Clunker Bumblebee. Turning to the chest sections, this version has the yellow paint detail, whereas this version just has the bland grey plastic. I actually do prefer the grey plastic, as it allows you to see some of the details in sharper quality. Another difference which I found was on the forearms. On the original release, as you can see, they have actually painted the forearm yellow, whereas on this section here it is just all grey. And turning down to the legs, they are more or less completely identical in terms of their robot mode. The tolerances on this new Clunker Bumblebee greatly improve over this version. As you can see, all the joints on this one are very tight, so the ball joints, there is no problem with loose joints whatsoever with these. On both the legs, they are very stiff and tight, and they have rectified a lot of the loose joints on this figure. So if you're worried about getting this figure again and having the loose joints, the quality control has definitely been cleared up on this particular figure. Another difference that I noticed on this is the build quality, lifting these door wings up. If you come to the underside, they have actually put a metal pin right through this section here, which was where the majority of the quality control problems were apparent in the original release. As you can see here, they were literally just held on by some nubs, and if I lift this up, this is extremely loose, and when you transform the figure it did pop off extremely easily. Luckily I never really tended to have that many issues with it. However, I did have to be cautious when transforming it. However, I can confirm that with this new pin now put through this section, this is a lot easier and a lot more simpler to transform than the original version. Clunker Bumblebee comes with one accessory, that being Bumblebee's signature arm cannon. It is completely cast in silver paint, despite the peg attachment to plug into the vehicle mode. Why they've covered it in silver paint, I'm not entirely sure. As you can see, this is actually molded in yellow, and on the original version they did leave the shield section yellow like it appears in the movie, so I'm completely baffled as to why this is completely silver. It certainly does look like a nice piece, however it's not accurate to what we see in the movie, so I may just end up using the original version's arm cannon on the new Clunker Bumblebee to make it more accurate in terms of a representation. As this is essentially identical to the previous version, you can remove the forearm section and just take the gun and plug it on, much like we saw in the previous release. So if you so choose, you can display Bumblebee with his signature arm cannon. Now, very quickly covering the transformation to begin with, we're just going to want to fold down these front headlights, come to this back section here and tab those door wings into place like so. Unpeg this whole back section and just fold it out, and as you can see, we're beginning to see more of that custom faded paint job. We can then come to the legs, unloosen the feet, and then just bring these sections out and down. We can then come to these transparent pieces and just proceed to lift those up, and then fold this section in and lift that up, collapse that down, then peg the foot into place. Take this fender section, rotate that back and tab it into place like so. Repeat the exact same process on the opposite side. So lift this section up, fold this all in, and then lift this fender section up and tab that in also. We can then proceed to tab the legs together. Turning our attention to the front of the figure now, just fold the hands in so. Disengage this section, which will then rotate that all the way up. We can then come to the arms and hinge these in and rotate those around. Spin that around, collapse this wheel section in, and slide the arm into place. Exact same on this side. And just peg the arm in, fold this section down here, and now we can line up the doors. Just snap that into place. Come to the opposite side and snap that into place. And now we turn our attention to collapsing the hood with the brand new metal pin now connecting the two halves. This is a lot simpler than the previous version, so just collapse this down over the top, tabbing that in, lining the back section up, getting that all tabbed in. We now have the brand new Transformers Studio Series Clunker Bumblebee in his awesome looking vehicle mode from the first 2007 Transformers movie. Now turning our attentions to Bumblebee's vehicle mode, this is definitely where I'll be focusing the majority of the detail of this review, as this is really where the most differences are apparent. As you can see, Bumblebee has been given this fantastic new updated paint scheme which awesomely captures his look from the first 2007 live action movie when he was the 1977 Camaro. As you can see, all the details on this vehicle mode are extremely faithful to the on-screen vehicle that we saw in the film. As you can see, when compared to that on-screen vehicle, all the marks are apparent on this figure in the exact same spots as they are apparent in the real-life vehicle mode. I really do quite like the details. You can see it is this kind of digitally printed on detail. However, I definitely do think that is to the figure's benefit, as there are no paint splotches, and which means that figures will not vary from figure to figure, and all the paint applications will be consistent with each other. We've got some nice singe effects and rust on the top of the bonnet and even on the side of the vehicle. Some paint sheared off, which is very reminiscent of what we saw in the film. It's fantastic rust effect. It also rolls really smoothly as well. And of course, if you want to attach the blaster to the back of the figure like the previous version, you can also do so. Upon comparing the two in their vehicle modes, as you can see, this is the original version and this is the brand new Clunker Bumblebee. This new one is definitely a lot more faithful to what we see in the movie. My only real criticism is that this should have been the version that we got first, as this version of Bumblebee never appeared in the movie. The 77 Camaro was never clean in the 2007 live action movie and was always like this, so it is very cheap on Hasbro's part to release this and then to release a more accurate definitive representation later on down the line. Now there are more than a few reasons to pick this up. Now obviously this is the more movie accurate deco that we saw in the movie, and considering that we really only see Bumblebee in his vehicle mode when he's in the 1977 Camaro, besides a few scenes, this will definitely make for a very accurate representation of that Camaro. They've also greatly adjusted the tolerances. As you saw in the robot mode, the ball joints are very stiff on this figure, which is great, and the inclusion of the pin that goes through these two halves greatly helps with transformation, as when I was transforming this for this comparison, the hood section just kept popping off, which was such a pain, whereas this version, when I transformed it for the first few times, I never had any problems with it whatsoever. So this is definitely greatly improved over this version. Now if you already have this version, do I recommend picking this version up? If you're a completionist and you're looking to sell this version, then definitely. However, if you already have this version, I'm not entirely sure that there is enough new here to warrant double dipping in the mold. Personally, I would definitely recommend going with this version, as I stated, it is more accurate, but in terms of mold differences, there's really nothing brand new here besides the paint application. So there you have it. That is my review on the brand new Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Clunker Bumblebee. Personally, if you're a completionist and you want the most accurate representations of your character, I highly recommend you pick this figure up, as the paint scheme in the vehicle mode greatly improves the on-screen accuracy. However, if you already have the previous version and you're not necessarily looking to replace it, then honestly this figure is just a miss, and considering there are such great figures such as Sideswipe and Barricade in this particular wave, I definitely do think that the Clunker Bumblebee will be a figure that shelf warms for many months. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. I have also got a review of the new Deluxe Class crankcase, so expect a very similar review of this figure like I did in this review. Thanks for watching.